Okay. I'm gonna wing it.
Okay, here we go. We're live.
Hi. We're
We
live.
were
How's
so
it going?
close. How was that? No, we got 11 o'clock. All right, I'm
Yeah.
impressed.
We did better than last time.
Yes, and we both aren't having to use our iPhones.
That's true. True.
Can you hear any background music by chance? Like any bass? We have some of our employees who are working out downstairs, and they like to play loud music. So
Heck yeah.
it's kind of a fun little perk. They have a gym downstairs they can use. So we all try to get the workouts in when we can,
Is it like part of the requirement? Like if you need to work here, you've got to be able to like carry 30-pound sandbags. So you need to be able to work out like 3 times a week.
No, it's not, but it's encouraged. That's why, people go down and work out. It's like, we don't mind just because we want them to feel good. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
Don't you have a gym in your barn?
We do. We do. So we've got like a section of it, because it's all pretty much open floor plan. So we've got like a whole section of rogue stuff. And like Tim was big into CrossFit for a while, and then he had a back injury. And so like we still have the stuff, but we got like a treadmill and a rogue, like an assault bike and assault runner and all the crazy things. But yes, it is handy. It's handy.
Nice. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, we enjoy it. So if the employees go down and use it, it's just like a little perk for them. So we like when they go do that. But
I love that.
Anyhow,
I love that because your employees don't have like set hours, right? Like if like you're working late, it's not like they have to be in at 8 in the morning, right?
Yeah, we're pretty because it's crazy hours during the season. You know how it is. Like right now it's wild. So it could be, 12, 13-hour days on Saturdays and 7, 8 on Sunday. So usually like if we have a shoot, we don't really start till 10 a.m. every day. So we start a little bit late just because we work. If you're on a shoot, you're there till, I guess I got home at 9 o'clock yesterday. So it's still a full day. It's just we start late. And if you have a shoot, we try to take a break during the middle of the day, that sort of thing. So we don't have like really set hours, like a brick and mortar 8 to 5 type thing, just because it's just kind of impossible to hold that schedule and work on the weekends. And, and really everybody only gets like 1 day off during the season. Don't really get 2, but, in the summer and the winter, we get, big chunks of weeks off. So that's the good part. Bad part is when it's season, there's pretty much no time off. But then when we do have time off, we really take breaks.
Yeah, I feel like add it to the list of things that make photography complicated as far as like people are like, when are your hours? And it's like
right.
all the time. Like there's no like, give me someone that probably doesn't have a family or children. So they don't have to like deal with any of that stuff, because that would be the ideal situation, because there's no
people like don't really get it that aren't like that aren't working for you or that aren't your family. Like they don't really get like the schedule. It's crazy, and when you're in this, it's kind of like your just bandwidth is all taken up too. It's like you don't want to deal with anything, any drama or any extra stuff when you're like in the photography season, because it's just as much as you can handle.
Yep, it is. It's just game on.
Have you had people like family or friends like become part of your world for a certain amount of time and they're just like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize.
Oh my gosh. I think everyone thinks we're crazy too, because they're like, I don't know how. I've got a cousin of mine who started working for her job. Like she's worked there a long time and now she's traveling to some of their locations and doing this. And she's like, I did a week this week. And I was like, yeah, how'd it go? She's like, I don't know how you do this all of the time. And I was like, I know it's not for everyone. And you've got to figure out how you can do it. And turning it off doesn't really turn off. Like it's on. You might be getting up like tomorrow. I've got a flight at 6 a.m. and it's like, okay, that's a 4 o'clock wake up call. I mean, and I live really close to the airport, which is nice, but it's like, yep. And then I'm going to shoot that night till late, and I'm going to retouch my images probably that evening. And I'm going to get up the next morning and finish the rest. And I'm going to go to the next shoot and then go the next shoot. And it's like, it's just ebbing and flowing. And like last weekend, both Tim, I, and Julie, so we've got 3 photographers, so me and 2 others, and we were all traveling, shooting at different spots. And like remote working is only as good as the internet in your hotel room.
Yeah.
And that's always dicey. And it's like, man, but now it's like we figured out we can search airports by enhanced internet features. And so it's like, we will only stay now in a place that has enhanced internet, but enhanced internet is very questionable too. It's like, well,
the airport's Wi-Fi's got to be good. That's what you're saying. So you let you go to the airport and stay there and work.
The airport usually Wi-Fi is really good. Usually it's very rare if it doesn't have a pretty good bandwidth, but staying at like the airport, we don't stay at a lot of airport hotels. If we can, we will, but like the hotels close to the airport or wherever we're staying, we now have to kind of like filter them by somebody that has an advanced internet like service. And it's just like, cause like you could do the best job in the world. And it's like, for us, it's like getting them out as quick as possible. And it's like, well, they're done. I can't upload them. I got 30 done last night, and it's just like, okay, but just that's like, crazy. There's no ebb and flow. It's just like, it's on and traveling takes up and it's exhausting. It's like, okay. And traveling, you took up half of your day traveling and you're going to shoot tonight. You're going to do the same thing for the next couple of days and then get home and I still need you to edit, it's just, it's hard to explain to people. They just want the norm,
with a family.
Yes.
With the family. Yeah. So it's like, that's why you're so unique in what you do with the traveling and the flying and like the high end images, getting them out quick. Like it's crazy that you can juggle all that, and I don't think you really understand till you actually doing or part of that world. So it's pretty wild. Now, how long of a stretch do you go? Like, do you go for 4 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months? Like, and do you have a couple seasons? Like how long does each one of those?
So our travel season starts in October. October ramps up into November. That's all showcases. So if we will go and do showcases, typically it's going to be in October, November. So a gym that might have like multi locations will come to one facility and do like a presentation for all the parents. That's their showcase. And if we can do the pictures at that time, we will. There's good and bad with that because typically their hair's up, they wear more makeup than they normally do, and they don't have like a natural look. But the fact that you can get all of these locations done at one time is really great. So
all the gyms, all the different cheer gyms, you get them all because they're in the one spot.
Yes. So because some of our cheer gyms, they have like 6 or 7 locations, and they'll come all together for the showcase. So those are, big weekends, but I mean, so we start traveling October through pretty heavily to the end of March, some into April. But then, March, April, May for us is really big dance season, but we don't travel as much for that. So that's nice because it's much harder to get all the equipment and everything on a plane for a dance shoot and stuff like that. So for us, it's March, April, May, dance a little bit into June, barely. And then it's like, we try to be off as much in the summer as possible.
Right. Okay. Then, yes, that's a long season. So it's 6 months of really hard, then a little less, and then a break.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's kind of same with us. Like ours is like January's kind of busy. Then February's pretty light. And then we go from March, April, May, really hard. We have June off. It's a little bit of July, and then we go from July, August, September, October. I forgot I'm on September. So,
just cut that one out there.
It keeps lengthening. So we went into December this year. It used to be like right before Thanksgiving we were done. Now it's like right before Christmas we're done. So so our fall seasons are long season. Our spring season is a little bit shorter. And it used to flip. It used to be the spring season was harder, but now it's kind of flip flop. So our fall season is really long.
Fall season's longer for you. Yeah, not for us. We'll dabble, we'll get back into doing our high school stuff in the fall and some random stuff, soccer stuff. We started traveling this past year for some soccer clubs. I'm like, okay, fine. I guess we'll do that. I don't know. So I'm like,
my husband has big enough, right?
If they're big enough,
you travel.
I know that's the thing. It's like, I kind of gauge it all by just dollar amounts. Now, if it's a $5,000 more account, well, then we'll go. Underneath that, it's like, no, I don't want to go, or it's got to tag on to something else, something like that. So, but my husband has a hard time saying no.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit better at that, weeding out some stuff, just because the calendar's pretty full anyway. So, Karina handles all that and what we can do and what we can't do. We usually don't say no either, but there's some that we just can't do, even if it's, certain, just ones, that's going to be high maintenance and it's just not worth the struggle,
Yes.
But, yeah, I mean, if you would have told me starting out that we'd be this busy, I never would have believed. I remember that, like, when I was in my 20s, I coached my kids' baseball team, and so it was funny. I look back on it now, I laugh, just like Karina and I had kids very young. So I was a baseball coach and I was working, I think I was doing insurance at the time. I forget what job. I had a regular job, 9-to-5 job. And I had on my team, I had like 3 or 4 guys that are really wealthy. I had like 2 doctors. One guy's high up like in Verizon, another guy who was a builder, and this guy, builder, he was like a blue collar guy that just made it. And he was super rich. And he at this one point when the economy was really good before the housing market crashed, he was buying everything around the neighborhood. And he had this car wash, and so he paid me to do some marketing for the car wash or something like that. And I remember he was just talking to me. He was trying to basically hire me, but I wasn't really interested, but he was trying to hire me. And I was just like, I don't think I want to find a way to balance everything. And I don't think I want to work, 7 days a week, because I had 3 little kids. And I just I'll never forget. He just looked at me and goes, I work 7 days a week. I was like, what? Like, I just thought rich people had like 2 or 3 days that they work and then they didn't work. And he's like, yeah, I've worked 7 days a week for the last like 10 years. I was like, oh. And it just like was such a wake up call for me. I was like, okay. And I mean, I didn't like the next week start working 7 days a week, but it just kind of got to where, when we were building our business, we were working 7 days a week. It was crazy hours. We've kind of figured out how to like manage it a little bit better since we're, 16, 17 years in or whatever it may be. But still, it's like, when you're building your business, it's a 7 day a week. It's pretty grueling.
We had to have a conversation with, I won't say who, company that kind of told me a couple weeks ago that they were going to cut their staff that helped do some random stuff for us down to like, they're going to work during the week and not on the weekends. And Amber, the girl that works for me, who handles a lot of the details of stuff, she's like, I had to say, dude, we don't work 5 days a week. We work all week long. It's like, so if you in your company that helps do random things, I was like, if your company isn't going to work all week long, because we work over the weekends and we're going to have to stop and pivot and like give you a bunch of stuff on Monday. She's like, that's not going to work. This arrangement's not going to work because we work 7 days a week. There's no turning it off. It's like, nope, it's 7 days a week. And like people ask me all the time, especially women, because I know coming from like a girl owner, like a lot of women, they're like, how do you balance it? And how the kids and and I'm like, yeah, there's not a good answer to that. If you can figure it out, please let me know, because there's not. It's just when it's on, it's on, and super honest with it. And it's really, really hard. And you have to be okay with that. And you got to figure out what you're willing to give up, because you can't do everything, and then when you're home, be as present, at being home as possible, and then somebody had told me this year, and it made a lot of sense, because I was like, still, this year was our biggest year than ever. And we ended up doing about 30 more travel clubs than the previous year. And
that's a lot.
Which is a lot. It's so a lot. And somebody I was talking to that I really respect, she was like, don't still try to do it all. Like, you can't do that and then come home and think you can make dinner every night. She's like, no, when it's on, just DoorDash what you need. And tomorrow if you need to do it, and the next day if you need to do it, and the next day if you need to do it, that's okay. She's like, you got to make that work, instead of being like, oh, I can still be the perfect mom and have everything done and do it all myself. She's like, no, hire your house cleaner guys twice a month. She's like, have them every week. Like, just do it, because you have the bandwidth, you have the money to do it, and just don't let yourself stress out about it. Like, you have to balance that. And I think that's really hard, especially for women.
Yes, I agree. Like, and I can't, there's no way I can relate. You know what I mean? Like, from a dad's perspective, I can. It's like, I guess what I was always like, okay, all right. I guess we're just going to raise our kids the best we can, and then we'll try to enjoy our grandchildren. You know what I mean? Because I mean, it's like, I miss some stuff that I wish I hadn't missed, wish I had made. There's definitely some regrets there. However, all my children, I mean, I'm on the opposite end. My kids are 27, 25, and 23. So, I'm on the opposite end. Everybody's out. Everybody's graduated college. Everybody's starting their career lives. And my kids don't complain. They don't feel like they were left out. They definitely had a different childhood than most of the kids because we were trying to grow the business. But I think they kind of enjoyed it, and they like this. They're proud of us for working hard, that sort of thing. So it is definitely like overwhelming. But I think that if you do the best you can, the kids they're going to grow up to appreciate it.
I do think so. Somebody told me that, Kaya Bonder told me that at a young age. She's kind of mentored me off the years, and she's had a big family business, and she's like the next season above me. And she's always been phenomenal at marketing and strategy. And she's like, your kids will appreciate you being a hard worker. Like, that's what you're teaching them now. She's Absolutely. Like, they will learn that, and learn that sometimes it's not a 9-to-5 job, and sometimes we don't get 2-hour lunches, but then sometimes you get to take your kids on a trip for a week and a half, and for us,
Correct.
We value experiences. So we spend money on trips a lot, and it's like, sometimes it is, I told Tim the other day, I was like, we planned an impromptu Disneyland trip for like 2 weeks from now, because we're both in the area. And Tim was like, I can fly from San Francisco. You're going to be in Orange. He's like, I'm going to fly down at the noon flight, and let's just bring and I was like, yeah. And let's bring the boys, and they can do, and he's like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, yes, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, absolutely. But sometimes it's the only time to shut it off mentally and not be working. And it's like, yeah, we can take the kids out of school, and they can roll with us, and they understand, the business. They understand working for yourself and how hard that is. And they've seen us fire people. They've had those conversations. Like, what happened to that girl? And it's like, yeah, she doesn't work for us anymore. And it's like, didn't work out. Why not? How she was never on time. Did you hear me complain about that? It was like, yeah, we have it's like, and they're like, oh my gosh, you did. And I'm like, yeah, it's a part of being on time. Like, you want to set your alarm in the morning? Are you going to get up on time? Because remember how mama fired that person that was never on time? It's like, teaching those, so I think, but our kids don't have, I think what bothers me, what kills me a little bit is like, our kids don't know what normal is. They have no,
but there isn't, but I mean, I guess that normal is just like, would you want to be normal though? Like, would you, I mean, would you think about going to 9-to-5? I mean, it's like, that would pain me. I don't think I want to do that. I just enjoy, I know there's a lot of travel, like you travel way more than me, of course, but we travel locally, so every job's at a new location. And I really like that aspect of it. Like, I like that my place of work is different on a daily basis. So, I mean, I think, but it was funny because on the way home last night, one of our newest full-time employee, he was asking me about like the history of Smacks. He's like, what happened to this person, this person, this person? I forgot people. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, yeah, that, I forgot about that guy, and we were like going through, I can't believe how many people, like full-time employees, who've actually been through, Scott's been with us the longest. He's been with us for pretty much the beginning for like 16 years. And then we have, Jeremiah's the new one. He's been with us for, a year. And then, Jamie's been with us for 3 years, maybe. So, but we just like going through, I can't believe all the iterations of people we've gone through, but I feel like this is the most solid staff we've had. So we're blessed with that, but,
that's great.
Yeah. All right. So, tell me about new stuff. Let's talk about boot camp for a second. We talked about family for 20 minutes. Okay. So boot camp, we're going to be in Indianapolis, June 2nd through 4th. Rose is going to be there. So if you want to know the details of how Rose does all of her magic with her travel and her shooting and her beautiful images. She's going to be presenting. She's our guest speaker. She'll be the first day on Monday, June 2nd. And then we'll have all the team and individual volume stuff will be the 5th and 6th. And Karina, my wife, will be presenting on the back end information. It's really, the more I talk to people who come to boot camp, it's really a unique workshop. It's not just a lighting workshop. It's a business. It's a whole business. Would you say that's how you describe it? Like
yes,
business, and it's everything. It's not just photography. It's how to organize a shoot before, during, after, how to get the images out, how to schedule, how employees. It's everything. It's everything you need to know to get started up in the volume business. And what me and Rose are describing here today is volume, because each shoot we're talking about travel, and we're shooting, hundreds of athletes. It's not just, a few athletes here and there. It's hundreds of athletes. And how do you accomplish that and still have really high photography standards? It's not easy, but it's definitely doable if you have a plan. So if you take advantage of, education that we can provide, been doing it for a long time, and Rose can provide, we've been doing it a long time. We can basically reduce your learning curve by years by taking the class. So it's well worth the time and the effort.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. I think a lot of people will get a lot, as far as my perspective, I get a lot of messages about how we do it, how we plan it, how do we organize it, how we travel, how we've kind of morphed our brand into a female brand because I mainly just do cheer and dance and stuff like that. Right. And, the whole full gamut of it, because there's a lot of similarities with cheer and dance. And then there's a lot of differences, and, and those seasons are different. Those gear and the equipment is different. Scheduling it, organizing it, shooting it, how photo day works in our system, because we're 100% photo day all the time, and how you run it and how you run we don't have a commercial space. People don't come, in, and we have 9 to 5 hours, it's like, nope, we work remote, we show up, we tear down all the things, everything's online, even just handling like even knowing the programs, like how do you handle customer service? Like what email software are you using? How do you keep that organized? Like all of those details to just making your life more efficient, making your business more efficient. They're huge. And so you're going to get all that information by just coming to the camp, and you're going to love it. It's going to be great. Yeah.
Really? Well, it's funny because our studios are so similar in that we're the same way. We don't have a commercial space, and we're always on location. Yeah, we're 100% photo day, and that we're really similar in all those aspects. And do you feel like you shoot differently using the photo day platform? Meaning, did you have to change up just maybe not necessarily the images or lighting, but just your workflow in general at the shoot to make sure that you could capitalize on photo day?
Well, the thing what allowed us to do differently was to shoot more pictures. I've always been a huge proponent of like multi-images and stuff. So we were kind of, when we'd go remotely, we would do 3 to 5 images. And then they would choose them right on site. So they would look at the images on an iPad and pick out the ones in order. Now this has allowed us to be like, okay, we can shoot sky's the limit. So like what I used to do on a volleyball shoot, might maybe have like 3 to 5 images. I might be doing a multi background. So like we've got a headshots background going over there. We got groups going over here. We've got the net shots going over here. So it's like images over there, and because we do mostly still private galleries with everything. So it's like all the images go on that kid's face to that parent. And so, it allows us just to have more. And that's my whole strategy is like more images. You're not going to sell what you're not taking pictures of. So it's like 100%. More images out the door. Yeah. Buddy shots, family pictures, friend pictures, sibling pictures, in all of them. Yes. Out the door, get them as many as possible. So just more pictures.
Those of you who don't know, like the lingo there, private galleries with photo days, when you actually take a photo with the app, and then those photos link with the professional images. So that way every person that gets, every customer gets a separate email, and it's only photos of their kids. In contrast, where we're shooting mostly rec sports, we use public galleries. We just put all the photos for the entire league on one gallery, and we tag it by team, but they can still use the facial recognition. But I think with cheer and dance, it's a little more sensitive right? Do you want to make sure that they're only seeing their images?
Absolutely.
So Rose uses private, we use public. I just think it's the nature of, a baseball and a football uniform compared to a cheer and dance uniform are different things. So, and maybe it has something to do with the sales strategy as well. But so, all right. So now that you're doing that, like when you're doing the choose on site, that's a whole nother element. You have to make sure that you have your iPads with you, and networking is working, and right.
Yes. Absolutely. We had to shoot. We had to have a router there, and then the iPads, and then not being at, a concrete wall in between you in a gym, and then having way more staff. We had people showing on iPads, then we had people checking people out and running their payments and that kind of stuff. And then on the backside, I would take those images home and process them out and email them out and retouch them. And so it was like so much. I mean, the staff load on that was such a heavier component to the whole thing that we did for scheduling. That is like most things now I can roll with me and another person, possibly 3 people if I really need to, because
big gym.
Yeah, big gym. But it's like, if I don't have to, I'm not going to, and then we try to really run it as lean as possible, because I like all the monies and the bank and all the things. And I like to buy all the things.
Yeah.
So it's
but if you were doing, but you're traveling, so that's plane tickets, it's hotels. It's like, it's a lot. Yeah. I get that. Yeah. So if you have, all right. So when you were doing on-site ordering and they were picking their images, like, what do you find? Like, do you feel like, was the participation or the average order higher than it is with photo day? And because you said last year was your biggest year with photo day, but that's allowed you to do 30 more gyms, right? So is it more like, is everything better with photo day, or is your average order the participation gone down a little bit yet, but you're able to make way more money because you can shoot so much more? Like, what do you find?
Absolutely. We can shoot a lot more. I mean, when you are shooting and showing and you're at an all-star anything, parents typically are going to be there. And so you'd be like, buy it now or never. That was kind of like, you don't have an option because we didn't have online before that. So participation was up there. And, on the average, we were selling a 2 or 3 image package, great, that's fine. So, but the workload of the staff and having to shoot that, it used to be like for every day that I shot, I needed another day to retouch, process, and email out images. So that strategy is out the window now. And so it's like, it's just shooting. And so it's a totally, with all of our processes, and there's 100 million things that you can do to make your process on the back end faster. It's like, now I can shoot and I can have the images out the other day, and then I can keep shooting. So it's like, I leave tomorrow and I'll have 3 gyms in a row, and I'll get back, and then by the time I'm probably home that night or the next morning, all those images are done. Yeah. And I don't have to do anything else. And so it just allows, And so like the mindset of changing that, of like, okay, put your value in training people to become the best shooters that you can have, and then train them to be able to go out and do it. It's like, that's how you make money. It's like, just keep that shutter going all the time.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So if I'm right, so you probably had a little bit of a higher average order when you were doing on-site, choose on-site, like it is a what do you call that buy? When is you have to do it right then and there, impulse buy, right? Buy it now. A little higher average order, a little higher participation. However, it's less profitable in the end because it just is too much to do all that right there. Where online you're just freed up, you can do way more jobs. So it's probably a significant amount more that you can do too, right? We're not talking about like $10,000.
No, and like our order average was not higher, just our
just the participation. Okay, all right, yes. So, but I wonder, like, average order per athlete. So if you have 100 athletes, because the average order is one thing, but you have to say for us, I feel like it's like, okay, average order, we're double what we were, but our participation is down. So what's the actual average? I think we're still higher with photo day. We are for sure. The paper order forms. The only thing that was better with paper order forms was participation rate. That's
yes. So don't you feel like, though? I mean, like I know with us, when I look at our numbers, and I know with photo day, I'm hoping that they give us some more analytics about that on the back end.
They're working on it, from what I understand.
Okay, great. I'm like always like,
I need to know more. Yes.
Yeah, I need to know more. But I mean, like, the faster I can get the images out, my buy rate is always higher. Like if I have to wait a couple
Okay.
weeks,
All right.
then my buy rate goes down for sure. Maybe not my order average, but my buy rate does.
But
Do you notice that?
Let me ask you, do you think that there is can it go too fast? Like, do you think you can't go fast? Like if it is right there, we're good.
If I mean, yes, I mean, because we even tested a little bit this past year because we approve groups before they go out just to make sure that teams are correct, people in there correct, names, are, anything that I was like, hey, let's just send the images out. And once teams are approved, we'll drop them in. That could encourage like an additional buy later.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm like, yes, that excitement of like, there's nothing like going to a Texas cheer gym with these mamas that shoot 900 buddy shots. And they're like, I want my pictures.
Right.
And I'll be like, if I could get them to you right now, oh baby, I would, because they would be, buying up like hotcakes. But no, so I don't think now I'm not for shooting crap and not retouching it and putting it out there. Don't hear me say that because people do that.
Yeah. You still want to shoot. You need a little extra. Like we're straight out of the camera. You need a little bit more than that. Not much, but a little bit. Need a little bit. Yeah, I agree. I mean, Kareem's got a better handle on that. But yes, we've been getting images out way faster than what we did before. Since we're using Imagine, the AI software, that's reduced our. It's been like a week, and in the busy season, like a week and a half faster. And I do, the biggest thing too is like, well, what Photo Day also has allowed us to do is shoot up later in the season because you used to have 3 weeks cushion, with paper order forms. So now with Photo Days, you shoot and you can shoot on the last day of the season if you want, because the parents are, they're getting all the images delivered to their home. So you have that advantage, which really helps with like rainouts and things like that. Because you can shoot later on in the season. And
don't you feel don't you feel like that is a huge marketing incentive? Because the number one complaint that we hear, or we used to hear, is like they could have a great photo shoot experience, like with someone other company, but they would never see their images, or it'd be like 6 weeks later, or something stupid like that. Then I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? And it's like, that's, I think, the biggest heartache for people is, when they're doing the volume, is switching over from that portrait mindset to be like, no, you need to get this out quickly. Like stop watching the stuff on TikTok that are like all the things that you could do with 5 people. Okay. Like shoot 100 people and get those images out in 2 days. Like that's what you got to learn how to do.
Absolutely. There's a huge difference in that. Right. And that's the thing is like, there's a huge difference in shooting some great images where you're taking your time and you have, 10, 20 minutes per athlete. And then compared to, shooting 3 teams every 10 minutes, like we were doing all weekend. That is a huge difference. And if it takes too long to get the images out, I find that, especially with football, we want to get those out because a lot of kids quit. you know what I mean? They get in that summer heat and they're like, I'm not going to make it. Nope. And so when you take these images, like, okay, this might be the last time this kid ever puts a uniform on, So we want to make sure that we get those, those images out as quickly as possible. So there's definitely that. But I think it's getting them out quickly is definitely important. It was killing us though without AI. Like we were trying to get everything edited. It's crazy. And the other thing is, I was posting a lot on Facebook this weekend, or just recently, because I kind of fell off a little bit. So I'm trying to reestablish, getting some more images out there on Facebook to kind of let people, the awareness of boot camp and how we do things, and also kind of educating. I feel like letting everybody know there's a big difference, in sports photographers and how it works, and this weekend we had a shoot on 2 shoots Saturdays and Sunday. It's 260 plus teams. It was crazy. It's a lot to do. But then, we turned around, we did lacrosse last night. We're doing softball tonight. Then we have another one on Wednesday. And then we do it all over again on the weekend. It's like, it's nonstop. It's just nonstop. And like just figuring out how to do all that stuff and staying on top of it and still getting the images out within a short period there's definitely an art to that. I mean, that's crazy. That is like really a volume business, and there's some beautiful images out there on the groups, but you can tell the ones that are volume and the ones that are not volume. So my images aren't like the most beautiful out there, but I know I'd shot, 100 kids like that in an hour.
Yes. I get a little bit like I look at the groups and stuff and I'm like sitting on top of the basketball hoop and all the things. And I was like, and I'm always like, oh, that hurts my heart. Cause I'm like, I want to do that. That looks fun
Yeah.
too. But I was like, there's not a way to do it. Like there's
Yeah.
not a way to do it with the volume stuff. And I'm not trying to promote other things like specialty shoots and stuff like that. But I'm like, sometimes I'm like, oh, it does look cool. And I want to do that too.
Well, it's just like, I mean, I graduated with a marketing degree. That's what I went to school for marketing. And there was like, that's one of the like marketing, 101. It was like, there's two pricing models. There's luxury brands where you charge the most, is the highest end of service. And then you have the cheaper brands where they're, it's lower service, cheaper product. And I feel like we're somewhere in the middle, going a little, I feel like the photography is a little bit more towards the high end stuff, but we can't, just because we have like Ruth Chris style photos, let's just say, we still can't charge that price because we're doing so many, we're still having to charge like, the middle of the road Outback prices, but the thing is like, it's whatever works for you. Like we enjoy doing this big volume stuff. It's a lot of fun and they're big numbers. But some other photographers might like to, do it slower, charge more. And that business model is just fine too. It's just, don't try to do both. Don't try to be like super high end, trying to shoot 200 kids, with all the stuff, because you were going to kill yourself. It's just not going to work, and also don't do super high end work and then charge $35 for it.
Oh yeah, exactly. I think it's picking. I just feel like in the volume groups, more times than not, you're not going to see actual volume work. You're going to see really cool, creative, cool stuff. And it's great stuff, but that's not volume, but it's beautiful and it's beautiful. And I think people like, if you're really interested in making some money, the people that I knew, and that was me a long time ago, like both of my parents were photographers and I got to go and study with really good people, just go live with them a little bit and like, hey, go shoot for them for a couple weeks. And the people that did the monies, they did it in the volume stuff. And they're like, this is not the cool stuff. This is the, like, you want $35 every second. Like, this is it, and they come home. Yeah. And they would pile the packets of money and like, we sort it and cash dollars. And I was like, this, and they're like, yeah. And he's like, and most people don't teach about it. Most people don't talk about it because they're too busy doing it. And it's not flashy enough. So it's like, the education hasn't been there in a great while, like where you can get a lot of volume education,
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go back down to one a year. I did 2 last year, and I'm probably just gonna do 1 this year and have December off. Yeah, this is like, just like you said, like we're too busy doing it. Like we're just slammed. So just probably 1, because it's just so much, and it's like we have those 2 breaks in the year, and having a boot camp, like organizing and all that is it's a lot. And then I'm kind of wrecked a couple days afterwards, so I mean, you're right. Like when you're doing this, it's hard to find a lot of education out there because the people who are doing it are really, they're busy people.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. So I was talking to my buddy Justin the other day, and Justin Grafton, and we were talking about basically, so going along kind of to your point, like there's not, it doesn't seem perceived that there's a lot of artistry in what we do just because we're shooting so many kids and it's the same thing over and over again. You know what I'm saying? And compared to sitting up on the basketball rim, like changing the posing, changing the lighting scheme, every photo seems more creative, more artsy, because you have more things that you can do. You're more liberal with your lighting setup and your posing, that sort of stuff, where we're kind of limited. We set up our lights, the lights aren't moving, and you have to work within that lighting scheme, and however, I feel like if you can find out how to be creative within that lighting scheme, it still makes it a lot of fun. It's the photographers that are like, take this, like, oh, this is so boring because I'm doing the same thing over and over again. It's like, yeah, but you can still find joy in that. You can still be creative in that if you just try and you're doing it over and over. And I still feel like I can improve every year. I just don't think that I've mastered anything. You know what I mean? Like
me too.
Every year, every shoot, I'm always finding, and it's like, we can't make big changes. They're like, cause we have our system set up, right? But there can be subtle things that we can change that, when we find them, they're a big deal. Like, oh my God, why haven't I been doing that for all these years? I can't believe. And it happens 2 or 3 times a season for me. Is that the same thing with you?
I'm so just glad that you said that, because I feel that way all of the time. All of the time. I'm like constantly like, oh, how can I make this better? Can I get something better? I mean, like I placed an order with John yesterday and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
John Scott,
I'm like,
Robert's camera. John
yes.
Scott.
And I'm,
yeah.
yes. And he's like, let me just call you. And I was like, this is what I want to do. And he's like, I think you need this, this, and this, all stuff I've never used before, ever. And I was like, okay, can I get this on an airplane? Because this is my biggest bag. He's like, you can get 2 of them in there, but you probably need 4. And I was like, John, I fly over all the time. I need this on an airplane. He's like, okay, and I was like, okay, I'm working on my status with American Airlines, because you can get 3 bags for free checked with them. So I've switched over. Yeah, because I'm like,
Southwest
I need that.
To American.
Yes. So we have companion passes. Tim and I both have companion passes with Southwest. And like, so I always put my business stuff on Southwest, but my personal one, we've been Delta. And Tim is, because Tim's bougie. Tim is bougie.
We're Atlanta. We're Delta people too. Yes.
Yeah, Tim's bougie. And he's like, the best experiences are Delta. And I'm like, I know, but you're spending a lot more to fly. He's like, but it's a better experience. And I fly all the time, because he does. Tim flies, and that's my husband. I'm talking about my husband, so I can say this about him. But he's like, and so it's just overall just a better experience. I was like, you only say that because you get to upgrade to first class like every time you fly now. And I was like, and I'm stuck on Southwest trying to get the 2 bags free, because I'm like, it's 2 bags free. And he's like, I don't care. He's like, I don't care. No.
And he probably gets the Sky Club too.
Oh yeah, we get all the things, and I'm like, and he is way more of a details person, so he gets that all figured out. But I'm like, I feel like all of the time I'm like, can I make this better? Can I? And poor John, because God love him, I text him and I'm like, but I need this tomorrow. Can you overnight this? I'm like, I have this idea. I want to do this. And literally he's shipping me something tomorrow in New Jersey. I was like, this is my hotel. This is my hotel.
That's great.
It's got my name on it. And he's like, yeah, I'll ship them out there. It's fine. I'll ship the others to your house. And I was like, okay, thanks. And he's like, so you're just going to get to the shoot and like set it up and wing it. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like me every time.
You don't have time to practice. You don't have time to practice. Like, you just got, you got to go with, I mean, I agree with you. And it's like, okay, so this is a good time to introduce John Scott Roberts. I call him John Scott Robert. He's John Scott with Robert's Camera. So he's good. We're actually having the boot camp at Robert's Camera. So I think that is super cool, because you get to be at the camera store, which there isn't that many of them anymore. So it's a real camera store. It's big. And if you see some gear at boot camp that you want, you'll be able to get it right there. So it's a fantastic setup. And you get to meet John Scott, who's the best in the business. I think Rose, where I'm trying to get him to where he's just the, known as the expert in gear for volume photography. And I think he's already there. Just people don't know. Everybody needs to know about it.
Yeah. He's great.
Yeah. He's
wonderful.
Yeah. So I guess the reason why I was also having this conversation, because the other night after one of our shoots, I forget if it was Sunday, I think it was on Sunday. I was exhausted after 2 shoots, and I'm sitting there just watching. At the end of the night, to unwind, I could only last for about 20 minutes before I fall asleep on the couch, And so I go on YouTube and I just try to find something interesting for 15 minutes, because I know I'm not going to watch an hour-long show, because there's no way I'm making it. Me and the dogs get on the couch and that's it, And so I was watching, Karina came in and was laughing at me because I was watching this guy who was baking bread in Vermont. So he was in this his job, he basically started his day at 5 p.m. or 2 p.m. ended at 5 a.m. And all he did for 5 days a week was bake sourdough bread. Right. And it's like, there's no sound or anything to it. It has some captions every once in a while to kind of explain what he's doing. But this guy just does the same thing every day. He cuts his wood, he starts the fire, he kneads the bread. Like he has this big mixer,
Uh-huh.
And it was kind of like really relaxing to watch this guy. And it was crazy. Like he said that he will like never master it. Like he's been learning, like, and that's all he's been doing for 5 years or something like that, something crazy. And he has this crazy schedule. And it was just seemed to me, it's like, he was just doing the same thing, but he was still learning within that really confined space of, because, in baking, you have to have, everything has to be really on point. So you can't make many changes, but he just found, and I mean, the end product was unbelievable. These breads were just unreal looking. They look so, I was making me hungry. And then, so I fell asleep a couple of times during it, but then I woke up and then there was a Japanese guy doing it. He took it to a whole nother level. Like, I mean, it was insane. Like he actually hand kneaded the bread and he had a smaller shop and like all his movements were crazy efficient. Like everything he did, you could tell he had done it like tens of thousands of times, and it just kind of, I don't know, kind of inspired me a little bit. I was like, that is really cool. These guys are doing the same thing every day, yet they're finding, they're both saying, I'll never really learn how to master this. I'm learning all the time. And so I was like, that's pretty cool. Kind of feels like what we do is like, we're not in the same shop every day, but we're in the same setup every day. And like learning how to talk to your subjects and learning how to, sorry, that's my son, military son calling me with so learning how to work within this small framework and be creative, and I could actually enjoy it.
Yep.
That
Absolutely.
that can be good for your mindset when you're doing it every day. Just kind of keep your mental health going. Like, okay, this is pretty cool, and the product that you're giving away to your customers is something that they are always going to cherish.
Yes. Have you ever tried to make sourdough bread?
Hell no. No.
Okay, I tried all Christmas. I have a huge stack in my pantry right there. And I tried. And my husband would come in like, how did it go today? And I'll be like, it tastes terrible. It tastes really terrible. I don't know what I'm doing wrong because I'm not patient enough for it. But I tried. I bought the like ballerina farmer spatulas. I got all the stuff with it. And I was like, I'm going to be that wife. I'm going to like figure out how to make our own bread because I'm going to do it. And so I have mad appreciation for people that can do that and are patient enough for it. Cause like,
it's crazy. It's crazy.
It is crazy. It is crazy hard. And it's bread. It's bread.
I mean, and these guys were really like, they were jacked, these guys. Cause they're just, doing, kneading their bread. And well, Karina, she has the culinary background. So I think she's made some, have you ever made sourdough bread before, Karina? No. It's what?
Too much work.
She said it's too much work.
It is a lot of work.
Yeah, she was even like, she was laughing at me when I was watching it, but then she stayed there for like 10 minutes. And for Karina to stay and watch TV for 10 minutes is, she never stops. So for her to stay in there and watch, she's like, that is fascinating. I cannot believe this guy. I'm going to send you the video. Okay. I know I'm a nerd. I know I'm a nerd, but you're going to watch this Japanese guy and you're like, that is amazing. So yeah.
It is. I think I also got appreciation because I went to Paris this past summer and legally they can only put a certain amount of ingredients in their bread. Legally, they can't add more to have like a baguette or something like that. But it was like the best bread I've ever tasted. And I was like, then I came home going like, I'm going to make mine. And it's been a disaster ever since because Tim is the cook in our family too. And he's really good. And I'm not really not. But back to that concept of just like, even if you know what you're doing and you've been doing it for a long time, I always have the need. I always want to make it better. And I always want to push even myself to be like, not get stuck with just what you're doing, but like push it a little bit. Can I make it better with the softbooks? Change the light a little bit. Would more diffusion, less diffusion, like bringing out a beauty dish when I don't do that stuff very often, like all of the things that's like, I just want to make it better. And I always feel like it's great to be like, I want to be the best. I want to be the best at what I do for sure. Do I ever feel like I can make it? Nope. Like there's always going to be someone better than me. There's always going to be somebody who's pushing the envelope more, and as we kind of become stagnant of like, oh yeah, we've done it the whole time, like that brand loyalty in age groups is not the same. So like I'm finding like the baby boomers, like that generation brand loyalty is huge. And the younger generations that are now becoming more in control of decision-making things, brand loyalty is not as big of a thing. I was listening to a really interesting podcast about it. Not just recently. It was like, hey, they'll make a decision just because someone else makes it look flashier and cooler and they're marketing it better. And I'm like, Okay. Okay. So like, okay, gotta keep pushing it. Gotta keep changing it. Gotta make it better. I always
Right.
feel that. I wish I didn't. It's probably a really exhausting thing for my husband, honestly.
Well, I mean, I feel the same way. I mean, I feel the same way, but as far as like, you know, as far as like watching the bread guys and like they make it look super easy, right? They
Yep.
just been doing it forever and it looks very
Mhm.
easy. Karina was like, that's really hard. Like she could see it and appreciate for what it was. I don't know anything about baking bread, so I don't really know how difficult it actually is, to get all that just right. So, and it kind of, we've got some new employees, working a lot of new people. So we have 5 full-time and then we've got a bunch of 1099 kids. And so the big shoots, we need lots of people. And so we have, the teenagers. So people graduate and move. So we had a bunch of seniors last year. So we were bringing in new people, and we're having a problem with like, they were really open to learning. And I have a step-by-step process in order to how to pose. You have to do this, 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 and this, if you skip a step, it's going to be wrong. And so I'm showing them how to do it. Right. And and they're like, yes, I got it. I'm like, okay, you have to do it in this order. Don't skip any steps. And they're missing, they're not doing it right. They're still missing, like, and it's kind of consistent on the step that they're missing. Right. And I'm just like thinking about it, and I'm just like, why do they keep, messing up in the same spot? And then, because I'd even have them like, okay, watch Jody do it. Just sit back and watch it. I'll explain it. See how she's doing this? See how she steps here? And, and they're watching and they're still, and I'm like, what in the hell's going on? Why can I not explain this? And what I kind of find is when somebody's really, really good at it, it looks like all one motion. It looks really easy. You know what I mean? It's just kind of very smooth and just kind of all in one motion. And then the kid is posed perfectly. And we can, with me and Jody or me and Jamie or me and Jeremiah, when we're working together, we can go through so many kids so fast because we've done it thousands of times. We know exactly what to do, exactly what to look for, and we can just fly. But the newer kids, they were trying to be fast like us. And they would they would do it either out of order or skip a step. And they just, like, when they're new at it, it's almost like it has to look robotic. It doesn't look smooth yet. You know what I mean? So you have to go 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, and it's not going to look like the people who have been doing it thousands of times.
Well, don't you think that's like that? They want it. They're here, but they just want to be here. They want to be like, I want to be as good as they are, like I can get there, rather than like, okay, that you just got to get through, build that resilience to be like, get to there, rather than like, you just started here. Like,
I want you to be very slow until you got it down, and then you can slowly get faster and smoother. You know what I mean? But the problem is you're trying to go fast, and that's slowing the whole shoot down, because then I have to make the adjustments, But, to me, it's like, I'm glad I recognized that, because it was really me, like, not understanding what they were doing. You know what I mean? And then I was like, the last shoot, I was like, okay, guys, this is what you're skipping, and this is why you're skipping it. Don't try to emulate what we do, because we make it look like all one motion. You have to go step by step by step. Go slower, so then that way we can get it right the first time. And it really helped. It really helped. So I don't know if that'll help anybody out there, but yeah, with your assistants, make sure they just don't miss steps. If they watch somebody doing this really good, it's really easy to miss those steps.
I totally agree. I've got a new photographer that moved here to Oklahoma last year, from North Carolina, and she's great. And training her, like building those processes, I ran into that exact same issue about a month ago. And I was like, I think I'm just going too fast. Like, it's too easy to just see what I see. And also being able to ebb and flow, because I mainly do girls. So they have a favorite side. So your lighting might be set up perfectly for like this side. And they're like, but I like this side. And you're like, okay, well, we got to change that, and then position them, and then still turn them back to the light, and stuff. And I can on the fly very easily look at someone's face, determine their better side or not. I can look at their body and go, what do I need to hide? What do I need to show? What is an asset? What's not? What, like all the things. Okay. And like, there should be a whole class on like, you've got difficult, even people that just don't know how to move very well. just like could be the most beautiful person you've ever seen in your life. And boy, they can't take direction well. Like I do a lot of mirroring poses. It's like, look at me, because it's usually me. And it's like, bend this leg. And I'm 6 feet in front of them and they bend the other leg. And I'm like, no, baby, this one, do this one. And so it's like hand or like tilt your head and they go the other way, or they tilt back or something that it's like, okay, just understanding how to work, with body shapes and sizes, and just people that aren't even comfortable in their own skin, aren't even comfortable in their own skin, which is crazy because like, I feel like COVID almost messed that up even more. Like still people don't touch each other, like we've got this, just even one of our poses that sells a lot is just the jump on her back, it's like you're the backpack, but how many times they do that and their hands are like this because they're not touching them and they're not hugging them. And I'm like, it's like, you got to hug them. Because if not, you just look like
it looks awkward.
It's awkward. Yeah, it's awkward. And it's like, man, just teaching people how to work with people and understanding when it doesn't work, why it doesn't work. But yes, I had something very similar to that I was like, I think I just go really fast because I didn't know how to ebb and flow with the situation. Yes. But I'm like, I need to go slower. And teaching and training
when you're teaching, yes, because and that's what's the cool part about it. You know what I mean? I mean, that's to me, what's the cool part about it is the skills that you've developed to be able to do that takes years and years and just so many repetitions to do, right? I mean, it just takes so much time and you're continuing to learn. So what's, I guess, kind of good about that is like, nobody's going to step in and do your job and be able to do it overnight or in a month or in a year. It's going to take them years to be able to get to your skill level. And, once you develop something like that in your life, that's kind of cool. You know what I mean? It's like, you're not just somebody's just not going to jump right in and do Rose's job and be a phenom in 6 months because it's just impossible. This takes years to build these skills. And like what you're describing is like, as we were saying, you still have the same general lighting setup, but you're getting better and better each year at making the girls that are in front of you look good because you're paying attention to all those little details and you can pose them in a way that's going to make them look the most flattering. And so many people they're just worried about what's my settings and how do I light?
Right.
And that's not where the artistry is, the whole thing. Like the stuff that you're describing is like, it's like mind blowing. Like, okay, that's pretty amazing. Like you can just tell by the shape of their body and the side of their face, which way they're turned. I mean, that's what the image is great.
Yeah. It's so detailed, and so that's why I think a lot of people, if they are on the fence about coming to the camp or they're interested in it, like getting to see someone work with someone else and get to like understand, like you can tell people all the things in the world. Like I can tell you there's typically a smaller side to someone's face, but when you're in it with overhead lighting, like you can see it and then see like, this is why she parts her hair this way. This is why she's turning always this way. Like to just see someone else work with them in those details, it just brings it all. Maybe because I'm a visual person. I am very much a visual person. So like, I want to see it. I want to see you work with this person to figure out how you're doing it, because you can just, I don't know, it's just such a more, I feel like it's just so much more, you learn so much more from seeing someone else work with someone else that's really good at what they do and understanding why they are doing it that way. So you can, instead of just being like, post this beautiful picture, okay, how do we get to it? And it's all about the lighting. It's like, oh no, there's so much more to it.
Do you find like, talking about this, like, there's some kids like, I was posing some lacrosse players last night, and there was a couple of athletes that just had, like, I barely had to do anything. It was like, oh man, like you got it. You got it. It's no problem. Those are the photos that are going to be posted, right? But to me, the funnest ones are the kids that are kind of like, well, and then there's the opposite end. Like you said, there's some that are just like, oh Lord, like there's not much hope here. We're going to make you look as good as you can. But it's the kids that, to me, that are the most fun, are the ones that maybe are a little shy, not quite sure of themselves. And they pick a pose. Like, I had some young ladies last night picking a pose, like where they just put the lacrosse stick in front of them like this, they're kind of hiding behind it, I'd be like, all right, all right, I'm gonna let you do that. But then after that, I want you to try this. You know what I mean? And then making those, and then when you try it, and I was tethering last night. I forgot to even tell you that what I was tethering with. I need to tell you that real quick. I was tethering on a volume shoot, which I don't, I don't do that. That's your world. That's not mine. So I tethered and just made them look. I mean, the photos didn't even look like the same person. You know what I mean? And they were so athletic, but they were hiding behind the little stick. You know what I mean?
Right.
And are you going to finish with that pose, and that's what you're going to send to your parents, or are you going to gotta push the envelope a little bit, make them get a little bit uncomfortable, and take a great picture of them? And that's what the parents are going to look like and be like, oh my God, like this photographer is amazing. And I just think a lot of photographers are just going to do this one. That's the pose they chose, and they're not going to move them.
Yep. No.
Those are the fun little challenges within the shoots that I enjoy.
Yes. Yeah. I absolutely pushing those bounds. What were you tethering with? I have to know.
Okay. Great situation last night. Typical situation for volume shoots. We show up to the shoot and there's a high school team on the field, Yeah. So the coach is like, the shoot starts at 5:30 and the coach is like, you can take midfield, because we're going to separate. We're going to take both ends of the field. And I was like, well, how long is practice? 6 o'clock. I'm like, great. We're starting at 5:30. So we had these beautiful clouds one way. Couldn't use them because that was where they were practicing, so we had to set up. So, we're setting up and we're jammed in there. The girl stuff is everywhere. Anyways, just like a volume shoot, once I get down, everything's set. I have 2 individual lines, 1 team line with bleachers, with risers. I sit down and I'm like, okay, the first girl is 3 minutes. It's 3 minutes to the shoot. So I'm going to tether. Now with Lightroom and with the old tether cord I was using, that tethering sometimes can take me 10 minutes to get up and working. You know what I mean? Because it has to do all its iterations. And so I was like, all right, this is a good test. Let's see how fast this thing's going to be. It was like less than 60 seconds. I mean, I opened my computer. It took me longer to hook the tether cable to my camera than it did for when I plugged it in. I looked up at the computer, it says R6 connected, and Lightroom never did that. You have to go tether, and then you have to let the wheels spin. I mean, half the time it didn't work. So I got the new Optima 10G, I think it's with tether tools. It's the 10G, and it's a 30-foot cable, which is awesome. Okay. Right? So that's good. So I can move around. And it is so fast. You can hold the shutter down, and the images pop up. They can keep up with you. It's insane. And I'm using Smart Shooter 5 instead of Lightroom. Because all I really want to do is show the image. I'm not trying to do anything else but show the image.
Yeah, me too.
Zero other things. I'm not doing a preset. I'm not doing anything. I'm not trying to that's where the file home is. All I'm doing is showing the image. And it is
Smart Shooters with tether tools, or is that with image genomics?
Tools.
No, tether tools. Okay. Yeah. I've looked into it. I haven't ever used it.
Yes.
So you're saying this tether tools is a new cord? Like a new cord series type thing?
Yes, because so the older cords, they provided power and data.
Okay.
And there's no way to switch it off in a Canon camera. So the Optima for the Canon, it's only data. So there's no power. So it doesn't get in. So you remember when I would always have a hard time hooking up Lightroom because it was trying to decide, are we doing power? Are we doing data? And so it was always an issue. But with the Smart Shoot, and I forgot to charge my R3. So my R3 always connects better. So I was like, shit, I'm using the R6. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get this, tethered. And I swear, I mean, I hooked it up and I opened my computer. It's like R6 connected. And I took a photo. I was like, oh my God, we were already, it was it was so quick. So that being said, the only drawback for me is landscape on the ground. Because the cord hits it. That's it. But I can still do it, but it takes a little bit longer. But I don't take that shot that often. It's not like a primary shot.
It's a cool shot, though.
It's a cool shot.
It is a cool shot. I every time I'm like, oh, I like that shot. I really do.
Yeah, it's a cool shot. So that's the only downfall. But what I do think, I'll use it sometimes just because it's fun. Like really it's like fun and rewarding to take the photo, and you can catch things that you wouldn't catch in the viewfinder. That's true as well. But I think that it's going to allow me to tether to my photographer. I could go to the shoot and I could like go down, if I've got 3 photographers working on the shoot, I can hook up their camera for a certain amount of time and just watch them take photos. And it'll give me an opportunity to train. So I think that's going to be a big benefit to me, rather than, if the shoot too tight, too loose, crooked, whatever, like you need to make this change, that change. I think that's going to be such a great way to provide feedback for my photographers. It's like real-time feedback right there. Like, this is what you're doing wrong, because, you can't do that on a volume shoot, because every time you take a photo of a kid, I'm like, all right, let me see your camera.
Yeah.
That slows everything down.
Doesn't
know
work.
what I mean? Yeah. So I think in a volume shoot, that's where it's going to be the biggest benefit for me.
Have you used that cord with Lightroom, or you just feel like it's just the smart shooter that's what's?
I don't think I have used it with Lightroom. It's just, to be honest with you, when I got the cord, I'm like, I was so tired of Lightroom tethering. I'm just so fed up with it. Like, I'm going to try this thing and see. Oh, I went to Robert's Camera for a little trade show for college professors, and I was there, and they were using that smart shooter, and that's where I saw it. I was like, oh my, okay, that convinced me. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to use Lightroom. So I haven't tried it. It's definitely worth a try if you want to stick with Lightroom. But for me, it was like this. My only goal is to see the image and to show it if I want to, or provide feedback for other photographers. So I don't really need it for anything else. So I'm gonna stick with that smart shooter.
Okay. I need to try that out, because I don't use Lightroom. So like, I can't fall in love with it. Every once in a while I'll go back and I'll open it up and try and do something. And then I'm like, I'm always disappointed. So I just can't fall. I was just thinking, oh, well, since are you sending catalogs to Imagine? So like that all goes, like they would all be in one, that would just save you a lot of time, right?
What do you mean?
Like if you're shooting into Lightroom, and then you just, at the end of the shoot, you could have a little hotspot and be like, we're there.
Yeah.
Edit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we could, but what we do though is usually we have like 3 cameras on a shoot, 3 to 4 cameras on a shoot. So we have to come back and put it on a server, and then go. So that way everybody can work on it, because, we have so many, like we have people double checking everything. So unfortunately we're using a server that is giving us problems right now, which is a nightmare. So we have to, that's our workflow.
Is it Synology?
And we've had the Synology for 7-8 years and not one problem. So it's real slow. Anyway, we got to fix that. That could be, that's an issue, but and
a huge investment.
Yes,
those things are expensive.
Yes, but if you're a single shooter, you just have a team and individual camera. Absolutely, that would be and you can use Smart Shooter as a plug-in to Lightroom. So you can open Lightroom, and I think that what happens is you can tell Lightroom a hot folder maybe. And so it's still, you open up Lightroom and you're still tethering, but it's coming through Lightroom. And the advantage that I can see with that is that I could see the photos in full screen. And you don't
wish Smart Shooter? You don't see full screen?
Don't see full screen. I want to see the whole image. I could be wrong. Because I've only used it a few times. So I'm no expert on Smart Shooter. So you might be able to tether it straight to see full screen. I don't know. So if that's the case, that's the only reason I would like to see Lightroom, is maybe you can see it full screen. That would be pretty cool.
Well, I think it's a great idea. I think it's great for training. I think it's great for marketing. I think it's great for just a new account, so you can show them like, hey, this is what we do. And you've got to be a good shooter. You got to know what you're doing if you want to tether, because you are putting everything out there that you could fix later. You're not. You better be able to do it right and show people that you know what you're doing.
Yeah, for us, a thing that's really terrible is if you miss that there's a piece of paper on the ground. And you forget it for 100 kids. That's a nightmare.
Right?
That's 500. There's 500 photos.
That's me with feathers on white backgrounds. It's like a little ducklings group comes in, and then there's a pink feather that it's like kind of slightly off to the side, and you just have missed it. And it's like, It's there
Yeah.
in every shot. And you're like,
That's a
dang it.
nightmare. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or fringe, all the things on a dance costume that just sparkle off and then it's on the ground. So
That's funny.
it's
Feather.
like I need a
That's pretty
Swiffer
funny.
just to like come in there. But it's like you get those feather scoops in there, and I'm like, yes, every time, because a mama's gonna buy every single one of a little girl in a duck costume, a frog costume,
So
a tiger
yeah.
costume. All the
Yep.
costumes. Yeah. Give me all the craziness, especially with feathers.
If you're coming there with that, they're buying photos. If they're coming in all feathered up. Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
All of them. So it's like, but there's just like a little trail of them. I was like,
that's pretty
get that
funny.
off the background. But it's frustrating when it's like, you can see things, see it bigger on a screen and you're like, yes. And I just try to tell people, it's like, stop, look at that. Is there anything you need to change? Change it. Like, don't be so in the hurry of getting, just moving on, getting done. Like, stop
Absolutely.
what you're doing, assess the situation and change it.
100%. Yeah, you gotta do that, because if you don't take a good photo, they're not going to sell. It's not about getting through the athletes. It's about getting images that'll sell. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And don't even get me started on girls with hair. It's like, if that hair doesn't look good, something's sticking out, doesn't look right. You see their ear, it's like tucked, and every girl comes up to the background and they're like, okay, yeah. And it's like, do you want your hair tucked behind their ears? And they're like, no. And I'm like, you just did it. Okay, untuck your hair. Like, did it, because mom doesn't want it tucked in. It's like, yes, fix it. Go slow, because every little thing matters. Especially,
the things we're here. Everything's set up, so let's just get it right. Like, we're not here for you to take that half-ass photo, because it's not going to sell. It's just so you can get through the team. Yeah. Yep.
Do it right.
Yep. All right. Well, we went a long time.
I know.
I can keep talking, but
I could talk about stuff all day long, especially gear.
Yes. Yeah. Gear. Yeah, exactly. All right. So, I guess if you guys have questions, just make sure that you can send me a message on Facebook. That probably is how everybody kind of get in touch with us. But Rose is going to be with us June 2nd through 4th, and we're going to have fun. We're going to do photography, and we're going to have, I don't know if you call it a party, but our social event is a lot of fun too. So we have a really good time. And the people that you meet at the boot camp, and we're going to have a lot of past boot campers that are going to be there. I think we have 18 or so. They're going to be there to watch you, Rose. So we capped it at 20. So we'll max out at 20 previous boot campers. So if you come to the boot camp, you get to meet, of course, the SMAC team, Rose, and a lot of past boot campers, along with the new boot campers. It's going to be a great boot camp. So
it'll be really fun. Yep. I hope to meet everyone, and everyone comes and has a great time and signs up.
Yep. Thank you so much, Rose. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.